Saludos and salutations, Broncos Country, and welcome back into another exciting episode of Broncos Talk. Ladies and gentlemen, Libre and I should say, are very excited to be with you guys here today. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk about the Denver Broncos possibility. Do they need more weapons? More weapons on the side of offense, more weapons on the side of defense, special teams. Which side of the ball do we think are as much help needed? Because we got a current free agent as of this recording and live stream that is currently in Broncos country trying to secure a position on the team. So Libre and I are going to talk to you guys about that. We want to hear your input. We are so excited. So please make sure that the food is warm. That your food is warm, your beer is cold, that you're comfortable, because you do not want to miss a single second of today's show. With that all being said, ladies and gentlemen, get ready, because here we go.
Broncos talk, let's rock, feel the energy rise. From the microphone to the fans reaching the skies. Every episode a thrill and surprise. For the love of the game, we harmonize.
And welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Adan Diaz, and joining me to my left or right, depending on which way of direction you're watching us, is my co-host, Bronco Libre. Libre, how are you doing tonight, my brother?
What's happening? Let's go, man. Exciting news coming out of Broncos country here today. So excited to talk about it. I don't know. Should we go into it right away, or what do you want to do?
You know, as much as I'd like to, because I'm excited as you are, I have a feeling that me and you are probably going to have a difference of opinion on this, but unfortunately, I have to get the announcements out of the way, just like we do every single day. You know, it's if you would have seen the contract that Johnny Baki had me sign, you thought a CVS receipt was long. This thing was like 20 pages, and we needed lawyers and all that stuff. So, we have to make
That's
sure
only
that,
because you're 6'10". That's the only reason why.
I think Johnny did it on purpose, if I'm being honest with you. But I assure you, we will get to that break. I don't know if breaking news is the right thing to say, Libra, because technically it has been floating out there. So maybe not everybody watching us currently is up to speed or even knows what the hell we're talking about. But I promise you, after the announcements, we will get you up to speed. Ladies and gentlemen, if this is your first time here, welcome. If not, welcome back. First of all, we would like to ask you for your support here on the network, Orange and Blue specifically. Please subscribe, share, comment, and like on this show. If there's any question or anything that you saw on the show that we did not get to answer, if you're watching us live or if you're watching us after the fact, please make sure you hit a comment or like. We will be happy to answer it for you. Also, there are other great shows on this platform as well that you can come and enjoy here. And we would also like to ask you for your support on our sister station, which is MHRT Network. Please subscribe, share, comment, and like on their show as well. This is a simulcast, so Broncos Talk is on the air on both networks. So please make sure you show your support and your love. It is very well appreciated. For our podcast audio listeners, please make sure your 5-star reviews are very well appreciated. You can screenshot it and send it to our socials. Mine is at a 6'10" Mexican on Twitter. Bronco Libre is Broncos Libre 5280. Again, as I said, if you're watching us, especially to our audience in TikTok, if there's a question or a comment you'd like to say and have us talk to over the air, we're more than likely happy to share it with the whole world. If we do not get to your comment or question, please do not be offended. We try to get to everybody's comment or question as best as we can with the time that we are allotted. Also, ladies and gentlemen, we would also ask you, we would like to thank our sponsor of today's show, which is Dubby. Ladies and gentlemen, Dubby is everything you need in terms of an energy boost. It's basically all the good without all of the bad. What do I mean by that? Well, basically, their formula was formulated to give you focus and energy with no jitters or crash. Their formula contains vitamins, amino acids, and nootropics included in their patented neurofactor formula. Basically, ladies and gentlemen, it's no calories, no sugar, no maltodextrin, no fillers, no artificial colors. Again, as I said, it is all the good stuff without all the bad. You guys hear it all the time about all the bad stuff that they put in coffee and energy drinks. And I got to admit, sometimes I unfortunately don't always have W nearby and I have to rely on those things. But when I do, I promise you that W is my go-to when I need that boost. And just to show you guys how awesome Johnny Bakken, the guys over at the Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue podcast show is, which airs every single Tuesday here on the networks, they want to give you 10% off when you use the code NRWOB10 at checkout. Again, ladies and gentlemen, that code is NRWOB10 to get your 10% off at checkout when you are ready to check out on all your favorite W flavors. Shout out to W for being a sponsor of the show here on the network and all the shows here on the Orange and Blue and MHT networks, and as well to the Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue crew for the 10% hookup. And I think that's it, if I'm not mistaken, Libri.
Whew, it's about time. Now, let's get to the news at hand. Oh, but before we do that, I see my buddy Shy out there commenting.
Oh, that's right.
What's happening, my brother? My high salute, Shy. So I know some people are excited, some people are not, but I feel like with the news with J.K. Dobbins coming into town, currently having possibly dinner right now, either at Shanahan's or Elway's Steakhouse. The Broncos have them in, and he's meeting with the actual position coaches right now. So that's probably going to be with Sean Payton and with the running backs coach and whatnot. But let me tell you, this room needs this upgrade. They need that competition because they did not have that firepower that we had, that we need itself. Our highest rusher last year is no longer on the team. So with this itself, he just adds to this running back room that we are missing, that firepower, and I can't wait for him to be signed by tomorrow.
You know what? Again, Libre, I'm going to have to play devil's advocate. Is it the devil's advocate the right term?
Yeah.
The opposite. I don't really feel like J.K. Dobbins is the right answer for the Broncos.
Okay.
I think that if the Broncos are going to try to swing big in terms of running back, I think that they should look elsewhere. Dobbins could be like, if you couldn't find nobody, let's say you couldn't get a Nick Chubb who's still out there and, you know, could possibly be a name brought to Denver, then maybe so. But again, there's just something about Dobbins that just kind of doesn't, it didn't run. He got outshined by the running back room in Los Angeles last year. I forget the name of the running back that played behind him. I think he was a rookie, Vidal, something like that. I don't know what his last name is, but all I remember was he cooked Barton on that one play. And that guy had more energy and more promise, and I can see why, and I can see why Dobbins was a cut by the Chargers. So I don't really – I don't know. There's just something about J.K. Dobbins possibly coming to Denver which doesn't move the needle for me. I still think this is RJ's team to, you know, lead into the season. Now, if you want to put Dobbins as like a backup or a rotational piece, then, you know, I guess that could work for you if you can find a way to work him into the scheme.
With that, I agree with you 100%. The thing is he's coming in here with the experience that he has. We need that. And we didn't have the type of firepower that he was there. So with being able to get him into this room is not only going to help out RJ Harvey, but it's just better to have him on the team because we didn't have the type of player that he is on the team last year. it was Javonte Williams, with Estime and Tyler Tyler Bidet. So if they were not that player, so by adding him to the room, just him alone, just say we didn't have RJ Harvey and just adding him to this room itself, he would be the number one right now. But I do feel with you as well that RJ Harvey is the number one guy and he'll be the backup. So it'll be that 1-2 punch.
And I almost forgot. Shout out to all of our Broncos Country fans that are watching us over on Broncos World Order. You guys were amazing last week, and it is so great to be able to have you guys back here with us continuously here on the Orange and Blue and MHRT networks. So please make sure you stop by and say hello. Broncos fan for life saying, give me some veteran presence and sign JK. Injury is the only concern. And Broncos fan for life is totally correct. The injury to J.K. Dobbins is also a concern. And I'm trying to figure out why L.A. gave up so quickly on him. So I am kind of worried. Was it an injury? Was it that lingering injury that kind of limited him when he was in Baltimore? And I know the Chargers gave him a chance. I didn't see him technically injured last year in terms of, an ailment that really kept him from being a good running back and whatnot. He did have flashes in the pan, but again, I don't think that adding J.K. Dobbins is gonna instill fear into this division, let alone our conference. So that's what I'm saying. If you can swing big and try to go for like a Nick Chubb, who I know is also an injury concern, because I know a lot of people are going to say that, and yeah, you're right. It'd be kind of like taking on what Javonte Williams was when he was here, because they both suffered, well, maybe not the exact same, but Nick Chubb definitely did kind of, he showed a lot of rust last year with Cleveland, but then again, Cleveland was just a shell of itself once Deshaun Watson went down, and it was pretty well known that the team wasn't going to go anywhere with the direction they were going after Deshaun Watson went down. And, they were just kind of free falling it, if I'm being honest with you. So I kind of want to see what happens more with the Nick Chubb sweepstakes, if he's still interested in possibly coming to Denver. I know the story around Chubb has kind of died down a little bit. It's not as big as it was, but that's probably because he probably hasn't made a decision. Maybe they're waiting more towards, training camp, preseason-ish, anywhere close to the start of the season before they make a move. So I'd like to get some more information on where the team is in terms of that aspect. But there's nothing wrong with talking. So if JK is in Denver just to talk, then, go for it.
So, he's here tonight having dinner. Tomorrow he's going to be joining the rest of the team and going to the facility to go check that out. Trust me, he's going to be seeing all the construction that's happening over there now there in Dove Valley. And they're going to be out there and they're going to say, look, next year, by the time this season comes to a head, this facility is going to be ready to go. This is going to be a player-friendly location that you're going to want to be at. Look at our upside. Look what we've been able to do. I think they're going to be able to sweet talk him, and he's going to sign for a good deal. Talking with one of these guys, one of the TikTok people, he said that JK did well for them last year and that the owner of the Chargers is being cheap, and that's why they let him go. I think he could be potentially the casualty to the salary cap itself, but I do feel like he's going to be able to add to our running back room itself. Like I mentioned, this puts these other guys in notice, like Audric Estime. Yes, it was his rookie year last year as well. But the thing is you need to come up and show up itself. You're being put on notice right now, especially if JK does sign on the team. So let's go ahead and get out there and sign him. And I just feel that this is going to be a good move for the Broncos.
I mean, that's an interesting point now that you bring it up. Like, if they were to get either one of them, either Dobbins or Chubb, then there's no way the Broncos are going into the regular season with 4 running backs. One of them is either going to get cut or go to a practice squad spot, which is almost like getting cut. But you're more than likely to get scooped up by another team. So it's either going to be Estime, like you said, or they finally decide to move on from McLaughlin.
Yeah.
If I had to choose, though, I probably say that they probably move off of Estime just for the simple fact that I think McLaughlin is not the same type of player as like an RJ Harvey is, or either Chubb or Dobbins, whoever there is that they're eyeing to get. McLaughlin's a little bit more explosive. He's pretty good on the catch and run, which he has shown time and time again. So, not to say that the other running backs aren't. We have yet to see what RJ Harvey can do in a catch and run situation, but that's just how he is. That's just how McLaughlin is. He's also not afraid to push the ball, and get the extra yards when he needs to be. But again, if it has to be one man out, and you ask me to guess, I would probably say that it's probably Estime on the outside looking in.
I think if anything, because Sean Payton did select Estime, if anything, it's going to be Tyler Bidet, or it could be McLaughlin. So I think they're going to keep Estime just to see what he can do here on his second year in the season. But McLaughlin, he might be gone. He might be a casualty of if JK does sign with us, because he's not going to make it out of training camp, because we're going to have the 1-2 punch of Harvey and Dobbins.
I know we got some TikTok chats over here. I do apologize if I don't see it right away. Let's go with B Griff 223, who says, I knew it was going to happen. If healthy, he's so good. So I'm guessing he's in favor of Dobbins coming to Denver.
And he is. And the thing about it too right now is he's real healthy right now. And that's part of my excitement of him coming into Denver and so forth. If we can keep him healthy, and I feel like with our line that we have now, I think we can definitely do that.
Veronica saying, yo, hola Veronica.
That's an old friend of mine. Vero.
Marky's asking us, what is our season prediction? He said JK did good for us last season. He also says it's because our owner is cheap. That's why they let JK go.
Yeah, that's what I was just talking about when I said.
Oh, he's a Chargers fan.
Yeah, he's a Chargers fan.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was about to say the Waltons aren't cheap. Not bad. It's not a terrible prediction. I was thinking you guys would go 10-7 or 11-6.
Yeah, I was talking to him on mute earlier, and I said we're going 12-5, and then we both had that same prediction.
I can't remember what our prediction was when we did that episode a couple of weeks ago. You guys are more than welcome to go back and check it out after this episode. But there are rumors going around, Libre, of people that, and these are not even Broncos Country fans, so you can't even say they're looking at the team through orange and blue colored glasses. But there are rumors that they're saying that the Broncos could get 14 to 15 wins. Like that was a hot take, and that is a really like a reach. That's a hell of a reach for the Broncos to possibly get 14 to 15 wins.
It wouldn't surprise me.
I mean, if they were to get 15 wins, that means they'd only lose 3 games. If they went 14, then that means that they'd only lose.
That's 3 wins.
3, sorry. Yeah. Math is hard. But either way, it's still a big improvement from where it was last year, where we don't have to worry about making the wild card, because it was a nail biter all the way to week 18 when the Broncos should have secured a playoff spot 3 weeks prior to that week 18 game. That week 18 game should have been a preseason game between both teams respectively, but again, and this is another hot take in case you guys missed us talking about it a couple of weeks ago. I don't remember what Libre said, so I won't speak on his behalf, but I still think that the Broncos are going to sweep the Chiefs, and I still think that the Broncos are going to take this division back this year.
I agree with you as well. But after looking at the schedule and whatnot, and I do think that Christmas Day game is going to be a hard one to play because it is Christmas Day. It's a short week turnaround because it's that Thursday night game. Yes, what I would love is to play the Grinch on KC and go in there and take away the win from them, which is very possible. But again, it's still in KC, that frozen tundra that's out there during that time of year. It's going to be hard, especially on a short week and going in there. So, but anything is capable and anything can happen as well. So don't count it wrong. I still believe that we could possibly sweep them, but it is going to be a tough game that second game we play with them.
Oh, indubitably, there definitely is, and every team is going to have a trap game. Every team has one every year. It's like the one game that you never would have thought that the Broncos lose or your home team loses for per se, and then they go out and then just wet the bed and they lose by like a field goal or they get stomped or any possible way. It just happens, unfortunately, and it happens to everybody, regardless of how good you are in this league. Or you just happen to have some type of luck like the Chiefs had last year where you're just winning games literally by the seat of your pants.
Yeah. And I was watching the NFL Network the other day, and they already said that the Chiefs are not going to have those type of wins this upcoming season, just with some of the loss of personnel that they have. And they're not going to be able to have that luck for them this upcoming season. Any games that are close like that, they are going to lose.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they lost one of their best offensive linemen in Joe Tooney, that is, if I was Patrick Mahomes and that offensive staff, I'd be worried because you're literally putting a rookie in that position. And if I'm not mistaken, was Joe Tooney his blindside block?
I don't know. I think he might have been on the right-hand side.
I think he's on the right. I can't remember what side he was.
Yeah.
But either way, if it's his blindside block, then that's going to spell a whole lot of trouble, especially with the pass rush that the Broncos have. But kind of getting off of, kind of circling back to what we thought the topic was for today. I asked Libre, because sometimes, like I said before in previous episodes, like sometimes during the offseason, it can get kind of tough to try to find topics to talk about because, I try not to be repetitive on this show, try to find different things to talk about and not so much something that other podcasters are talking about as well. But it is hard, ladies and gentlemen, and we do hope that you can bear with us on the days where we kind of like, it feels like maybe we're pulling teeth. But it is what it is, and we just kind of you just bear with us. Training camp will be here before you know it, and me personally, I can't wait. So once we get like that waterfall of content just streamed down on us in September, it is going to be a very, very nice rest of the way for 2025. But basically, I feel like the addition of J.K. Dobbins, that's where the question is Libre, do the Broncos need more weapons? And if they do, should it be more concentrated on the offensive side of the ball or on the defensive side of the ball, or maybe even special teams? Go ahead, Libre.
So, yes, we need to add more weapons to the offensive side. I feel like during free agency is where we help the defensive side itself with Greenlaw and Tufunga and so forth, and with Barron getting him in our first round pick. We're set on the defense, so I feel like we're good there. So anything now with any either trades or any more additions needs to be on the offensive side. If we can get that done and for this, we're just not only helping Bo Nix being the best player that he's going to be here in this upcoming year, where I could potentially see him in talks as being the MVP this year. So I'm super excited that let's get him all the weapons we can possibly get just to help him out.
I wholeheartedly agree. Me, I'm not the best player in Madden per se, but I do enjoy playing it from time to time. And when I do play, like the one side of the ball that I do enjoy playing the most is defense. I struggle on offense because I get picked a lot because plays that I should see, I don't see. And for as long as I've been playing Madden, you think that I'd be better at it. But when I play against my friends on the random times that we do, I get shellacked all the time. My best friend Eric, who you guys saw on the show before, he kicked my ass for so many years. I've never beaten him, and I probably never will. But before I continue with my rant, let's say hello to D-Rock, who says, "Hey, Don Libre.
D-Rock, what's happening, brother?
What's happening to you, D-Rock? Thank you so much for being here with us and showing us your support. Always well appreciated, brother." But so for me, even though it feels like we're set on the defensive side of the ball, I feel like we could probably use help in the linebacker core in terms of reinforcement. Maybe not so much as a starter. I know a lot of people are still not too big on Alex Singleton coming back. I did see some people say that they're still calling for his head, that the Broncos should look to trade for another linebacker. But I think as long as Singleton thinks he can play and go, he should be given a fair chance. If it was up to him, he probably would have played in a cast last year. And the guy can still play. So until we see that drop in play from Singleton, where it's like, hey, either that injury is still bothering him, or he's still not at 100% and he can't go, and it's time for him to move on. That's a conversation we'll have when that happens. So
let's talk about Singleton real quick, like how you're right now on it. You have to realize that he tore his ACL during the game and he still played the rest of the game with a torn ACL. What kind of dog does that? Like, there's not many that's out there, and he still was effective throughout that whole game. So I don't have any concerns with him coming back. I've been seeing some of his videos that his wife has been put out as well on TikTok, that they are in there. He's in there. He's ready to go. It looks like his rehab went really well. And because it was the first game of the season, or was the second game, I can't remember. But because it happened so early in the season, he's going to be ready to go by the time this season is kicking off here in 95 days, just so you're aware. And it's just a matter of him out there, getting out there and proving himself again. Because people, yes, how you're saying that, are doubting him. But the thing is, he is a dog, and I don't have no doubts in my mind about him going out there and playing and producing at a high level still.
I mean, again, I would like a linebacker piece to be added if there is one. I think that the Broncos should probably wait until the end of preseason, because sometimes like those cutted players, you might be able to find a diamond in the rough, and hopefully it doesn't come through waivers, because through waivers then it'll be crazy. But like in terms of trading, maybe you could trade for one, but I don't really, unless you can get one for like something where you don't have to sell the farm.
And that's part of it. If you're gonna go out and sell the farm for somebody, you're gonna go get a starter.
Mm-hmm.
You're not gonna get one like how you're mentioning, to get someone that's gonna be a backup, somebody that's gonna play a second fiddle to Alex Singleton or Greenlaw. So going out there and selling for the farm for a backup is not gonna happen. And like you said, I do believe that if anything during cutdowns, that after the third preseason game, there's going to be a lot of players that are going to be available. And that's when a lot of the players do sign to the practice squad and so forth. So that's one thing you have to look into as well. Because you have to think about half the players in the league are going to be cut at that point.
Yeah. And that's where all the picking stuff is going. I know that the Broncos recently signed was it undrafted tight end? Another one. I can't think of his name, but I know he was undrafted, and the Broncos are still trying to swing for the fences on that one in terms of trying to find another diamond in the rough, like they did with Philip Lindsay a couple of years ago. I consider him a diamond in the rough. It's not his fault that the team kind of gave up on him, I feel. But in terms, like, you can never have too many weapons, is basically the point I'm trying to make here, ladies and gentlemen. And to switch sides back to the offensive side of the ball, I again, if they do bring Dobbins, I'm gonna have to put him like on a prove me wrong type of situation, because I feel like maybe I'm dogging on him a little bit too much. Maybe I'm not giving him enough credit per se. Even though we have a fan in our chat who's a Chargers fan, who just basically said that the Chargers are probably just letting him test the waters per se, which I really don't think so, because when you go visit a team specifically, that's more than just testing the waters. Testing the waters is like letting your agent make a bunch of phone calls and stuff.
Yeah.
But this kind of feels like it's kind of like down to the last couple of things. Maybe they'll go back and talk, contract terms between Dobbins and his agent. And it could be, and if the Broncos do sign Dobbins, then they're more than likely out of the whole Nick Chubb coming to Denver thing pretty much done. And then it'll be interesting to see where Nick Chubb lands next season, on what team, and they take a chance on him.
Honestly, like if they were really in talks with Chubb, they would already had these conversations. They would be over here and having them already in the building like they're doing with JK, and they're not. So I don't feel like the team or the coaches are high on Nick Chubb at all. As how we talked about him before in past shows, is it'd be good to get him in here as that veteran to help out other players to learn maybe the system, like with RJ Harvey or whatever, just learning how to play an NFL player itself. But to have him come in here and to contribute, he's not going to be in here to be able to do that here in Denver. And that's just my personal opinion.
I mean, it's starting to look that way, to be honest with you. And D-Rock over here saying, out of Ole Miss, I know short to you, Adon, but he's 6'7", I believe. I mean, that's not too far from me. I'm 6'10", so 3 inches. You probably, I mean, I don't know. I've stood next to some really tall people in my life, taller than me, believe it or not. I think the tallest guy I ever met, sidebar, was probably 7'2". He was here for a wedding. And when I tell you that I thought I made people feel short, whoever that bridesmaid was, everybody was laughing when they walked down the aisle.
Hey, opposites attract. Was she 4'11" or what?
She could have been. I mean, standing next to that guy. But I just that was funny as hell. Should have took a picture with him. But anywho, the basically, I mean, the only other side of the ball where you probably could add a weapon if you wanted to is probably maybe they did get a tight end through the undrafted agent free agency. So maybe wide receiver. I know we have a crowded wide receiver room, Libre, because we have Sutton, we have Mims, Franklin, we have the new guy they just added off of what's his name, Parker.
And then we have Vele. Yeah, we do have a good crowded receiver room. But again, how many are we going to keep? I feel like if that's one position where we want to keep about 5. And you're going to have to remember that Vele and Marvin Mims are going to be those guys that are going to be on the special teams itself. And then it's going to be Pat Bryant, who's the one that you're
Pat Bryant. Sorry, I don't know.
But Pat Bryant, I feel like he's going to be like that number 2 receiver for us. Sutton's going to be number 1. And then we have it's going to be Vele, Mims there, at the 3 slot. But you're going to want to keep several of these guys. And I think even last year we kept like 5 wide receivers on the team, and you're going to still want to do that as well for this upcoming year, just because you need to have the versatility with those guys. But I feel like this year and what's some of the rumors that are coming out of OTA so far with Sean Payton talking about Troy Franklin, that he's going to utilize him a little bit more this year, especially with that continuity that him and Bo had coming from Oregon, that he might be more of that deep threat type of guy.
Well, let's be honest here, Libre, and this is something that I've actually thought about. I don't know if it was today or yesterday when I had a moment. anybody on this team is not safe. We have to remember that we had one of the best wide receivers, I should say, in Broncos country, in Demaryius Thomas, and even he wasn't safe because he was traded. So if a guy like DT, God rest his soul, can't be safe from trade, there's nothing that doesn't say or couldn't say that if the wide receiver room does get too crowded, like you say, and the Broncos have to cut either one of those players we just mentioned, and an offer comes up where somebody makes them an offer for Courtland Sutton, would it be such a bad thing if the Broncos jumped on it and sent Demaryius Courtland Sutton to another team and then do exactly what they did to DT when they sent DT to the Texans?
And so that's not going to happen at the end of training camp. That's going to be more happening closer to the trade deadline itself.
Yeah.
So, and it's going to be all depending on what he's going to be doing up to that point in the season as well. Is Pat Bryant going to go over and take over his spot and be the number one receiver? Like that's all. Let's see what happens. But again, Sutton itself had one of his best years of his career so far in Denver last year with Bo. So if that's going to be the case, and if we get, it's going to have to be something big and like a first round pick or second round pick with maybe a player coming in to help out for the team as well. It's something that maybe we're lacking at that point in the season. But again, it's going to be depending on how we're doing up until that point. But if it happens, it happens, like again, I said it once before and I'll say it again. I'm always rooting for the name that's on the front of the jersey and not on the back of the jersey. And if it's something that's going to help out our team, it's always that name. It's Broncos Country, boy.
Paul Schaefer jumping in the comments. My high salute to you, Paul. Thank you so much for your continued support here.
Thank you so much, senor.
He says, I think our wide receivers are safe unless A.T. Perry steps up. 6 receivers with Sherfield on special teams.
Yeah, like I was mentioning earlier, that's going to be a thing. Is like some of these guys, especially Pat Bryant, he might play both positions on special teams and be in the wideout. Some of these guys are going to have to do that. That's part of the game right now. Until you're that number one receiver where you're just full time, just at the wideout position, they're going to have to produce at different spots at this point.
I got to give you credit, Paul. I did not think about A.T. Perry. I totally forgot about A.T. Perry for a second. But Libre's right. If 6 receivers with Sherfield on special teams and you're Sean Payton, you got to find a way where somebody can be the hybrid player, That way it can make up for the fact that, because when it comes time to cuts, guys, I feel like there's gonna be a shock. The last couple of years, we've been pretty much shocked. I still remember there's still a lot of people who are not over Tim Patrick getting cut.
I'm still not over it, honestly. And I was actually sad that he just re-signed again with Detroit again. But It's good for him. That's where he's gonna excel at. He did awesome last year, and I'm happy for him.
Man,
I think that's what we missed as well last year, was just having that 1-2 punch there as well. But I feel like it was he was a casualty of the cap itself.
I don't know about that, Libre, because you got to remember Ben Johnson is out of Detroit, and he's a Bear now, head coach for the Bears. So I thought Tim Patrick was probably going to go, take a chance on another team that had, potential of going back to a Super Bowl, like maybe the Eagles. I honestly thought he could have signed with Philadelphia, so I was surprised that he was able to, or not able, but that he re-signed with Detroit.
I feel like Detroit does still have that window of opportunity for them, just because of what they've been able to do. Even though Ben Johnson is no longer there, but they still have that core of players still within Detroit itself that I feel like they can still make that push to go deep into the playoffs and even into the Super Bowl.
I mean, they can. It just sucks. Again, it sucked that their defensive line last year was just completely.
It was the whole defense for them. They had like the most injured defense going late into the season. So that's what really hurt them itself. But if they could, like that team, if they can stay healthy, they're dangerous.
Yeah, they are. And then Paul Schaefer brings up another point. We all forgot about Reynolds, who was a Bronco for what, just a couple games, and then
Well, he got shot up at Shotgun Willie's.
yeah,
So
and then
he was
ended up
only here for a
getting-
minute. He got that injury, and then he really wasn't that impact player that we thought he could have been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that was really disappointing. I mean, because when you see his tape in Detroit, Josh Reynolds looked like he was going to be the next big thing, making a name for the number one. And then of course he comes to Denver, and he gets injured, like Libre said, and then he ends up getting cut. And I think he went to Tampa.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't remember where he went. But I hope he's doing better than we thought. But Paul Schaefer does bring up a good point. All our wide receivers had drops last year, and definitely in Courtland Sutton. And it hurts when you see Courtland Sutton drop a pass, because we've seen that man make catches that you only see in Madden. And when you see Courtland Sutton not being able to make a catch that most wide receivers make with their eyes closed, it just like it is just it's like somebody punched you in the gut.
Yeah.
And it just freaking hurts, man. But there's just something about this offense going into year 3. Is it year 3 or year 4?
Year 3 with Sean Payton?
Yeah, year 3 with Sean Payton. There's just something about year 3 going into this that I don't know. It feels different. Like there's a vibe in Broncos country right now. And it's a good vibe, I think. And it's kind of like the same vibe. It's maybe not the exact same vibe as when Sean Payton got to New Orleans, where he turned that team around in one season. But with this one, it was kind of like the whole thing with Russell Wilson kind of seemed like it was just Sean Payton trying to do the owners a favor, in terms of, maybe he wanted to come to this team, and maybe he didn't want Russell Wilson on the team right away. And it was just the owners kind of like, hey man, give it a chance. Let's see what you have, what you can do with him, if you can quote unquote fix him. And then when it looked like he was trying to, or on the verge of it, the whole injury clause thing happened. And then Russell Wilson and management just didn't see eye to eye. And he just spent those last 2-3 games just sitting there, watching from the inside and out. For me, as much as I liked seeing Russell Wilson here in Denver, if you can believe it or not, but that New England game where he should have killed the Patriots, and instead we lost that game and it cost us a trip to the playoff, to the postseason. That was just terrible and inexcusable.
That game itself was a Christmas Eve game. It was a night game.
The one that Johnny and Isaiah were at, by the way.
Yes. And it was one of the colder games as well. But the thing is, it's like you thought you were in it. You're there in the fourth quarter. We thought we were going to go down and win. But then that fourth quarter happens and you just let it slip away. You saw it. You just were there and you just see it just slipping away. And again, that was the thing with when we're talking about with Russell Wilson, where we knew it, that I felt personally said, this is not our guy.
Yeah. I mean, it was nice in terms of when Russell Wilson was announced, he was going to be a Bronco in 2022.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I can't remember a time before that, probably when Peyton Manning announced he was coming to Denver, where the hype just kind of like took off on its own. There were predictions. We were the talk of the town. People were wondering how many Super Bowls we were going to go to, how many Super Bowls we were going to win. I saw a picture of, I don't know if it was photoshopped or not, but supposedly Russell Wilson had cleats that said, back-to-back world champs. I mean, it just got so easy to get sucked up into all that, especially all of us who were already Broncos fans. And then as that season unfolded, turned out to be one of the worst seasons in Broncos history.
Well, and that's the thing is it's like I think with George Payton, and the thing is I understand why he did it, but the thing is you gave him that extension without him playing a single snap for that extension that he received. So I think that was just one of the hardest things to swallow itself. At first, like I was all about it. It's like you're telling him, look, you're here for several more years. You're the quarterback, nothing to worry about, so that he can come out here and produce. But Russell Wilson, just that first year alone, being able to see him coming in and out of the stadium or whatnot, he had a camera crew following him around the whole time. It was more for him being production wise itself than actually being here in Denver and playing for the Broncos itself. He's like, all right, I'm in a new spot. Let's go ahead and get all this done for his brand or whatever. But I don't think he was really here for the right reason, and he got paid to do it. And he got paid a lot of money, and he did not play a single down under that new contract, which is still terrible to, I'm still going to say that's one of the worst contracts that was ever signed, even though I know Watson there in Cleveland is probably the worst one ever, and Jamarcus Russell with the Raiders. So I know it's not the worst one ever, but it was still it's up there.
Sidebar here, ladies and gentlemen, not to mention Jamarcus Russell. I for some reason sometimes get lost in, how when you're watching YouTube, it literally just tells you like, hey, you want to watch this video about random stuff? So to me, watching it brought up a video about Jamarcus Russell. I'm pretty sure a microphone heard me because it just came up on my For You page. And I started watching it, and I had no idea how messed up Jamarcus Russell really was. I had seen and read articles about him. Unfortunately, during that era, I wasn't into football as much as I am into it now, in terms of where I was watching everything in terms of just the Broncos per se. But the fact that Jamarcus literally ran his own self into the grave. This wasn't like Ryan Leaf type of thing, who I still think is the bigger bust out of the two per se. But Jamarcus Russell's whole thing, the way it went down, was just terrible, because it's like he failed himself before he had a chance to fail himself, if that makes any sense. As the guy in the documentary was saying, Jamarcus thought that he could get by on his own, just by his own stature and by what he was able to do when he was at LSU. And the big misconception that a lot of college players have when they come into the NFL is that they underestimate what the NFL is. The NFL is quicker, it's stronger, it's faster. It is not the college level. And it's either you sink or you swim type of thing. And for Jamarcus, when they gave him that test of those tapes, where they told him, take these tapes, study it, and let us know what you thought. And he didn't even do it. The tapes were blank the whole time. And he came back the following week and he was like, yeah, I read it. I studied them. I'm ready to go.
So, and he's one of those guys that he was one of the best players in college. And coming out, and just like you said, the league is something different. It's so much faster, so much stronger with these guys that are in there. But that's part of why the NFL changed the rule with rookie quarterbacks, or even rookies in general coming into the league, where they do not get those max contracts anymore, that guaranteed money. That's why there's a cap on some of these guys, like the first rounders now, that they can only get so much on a 4-year deal, and then possibly the rookie fifth deal, the team option 5th-year deal. And then it's just, you have to wait for your money on your second contract that you are coming out of the league.
This comment right here, I think Cousins signing hurts the Falcons worse. You know what? I said this when Michael Penix was picked, where everybody shunned the Falcons for it because they were like, why in the F would you sign Michael Penix when you just signed
Cousins to that 4-year
Cousins,
deal. Yeah,
that
I
4-year
agree.
deal. It and to me, it gave me flashbacks of what the Bears did. If you guys don't remember, in 2017, I think it was, the Bears signed Mike Glennon to like a 2-3-year contract and then traded up with the 49ers to get Mitch Trubisky in that draft. And it was kind of like you could have had a Patrick Mahomes, you could have had a nicer version of Deshaun Watson before it went bad.
Right?
And when I saw this, I was the only person who said to myself, this feels like an insurance policy. And I wasn't thinking insurance policy in terms of Kirk Cousins playing bad. I thought it was an insurance policy in terms of Kirk Cousins like not being able to play again because he got hurt, But when he went down and we saw Michael Penix in those last, 2 games, he really didn't look that bad. You couldn't even almost tell he was a rookie, So now the Falcons have a really bad situation on their hands where there's going to be no team, not even the Steelers, who would much rather probably go 1-16 before eating up that size contract to bring Kirk Cousins to Pittsburgh, like D-Rock says right here. But I think that Penix is probably going to run the gauntlet in that division because that guy, with just 2 games under his belt and going, I don't know if you can really call next year his sophomore year because technically he didn't start, but I think that the Falcons, unfortunately for the Falcons, for the next, 3 years, they're really going to be cash strapped. So they're not going to be able to improve much and give Penix those weapons and protection that he needs for a while. So he's going to have to do with what he has. But if he can, and maybe a shot in the dark where the Falcons can get somebody to take some of the money off of their books for Cousins, I mean, that's something. And Paul Schaefer says, good point. Penix saved them. He really did, because Desmond Ridder was not the answer for the Falcons. That's why I don't know if he's still with the Raiders now, but that's why he was with the Raiders last year, because he wasn't the answer. And I totally missed this question by D-Rock saying, dudes, what are y'all more excited to see this season? Example, 1K yard running back, a 20-plus sack player, undefeated record, etc. He's going to go first. Beating Kansas City in Kansas City, we got to do it. Libre, I've talked enough. You can take this one.
Honestly, I love D-Rock's take there, and I see that's very potential that could happen. One thing that we haven't seen in such a long time is a running back that's been able to hit 1,000 yards. And I feel like this is going to be the year that we have a running back, and I'm going to say right here, is going to be 1,500 yards or more. And I think we can do it.
For me, I think Hufanga is going to shut up all the haters, and I think he's going to have probably his best year as a Bronco. Just for the simple fact that there's a lot of people who are looking down at us for the Dre Greenlaw and Hufanga signings. Since day one, mind you, people were already like rubbing their noses or looking down at us, however you say it, on us. So I think I'm going to say that Hufanga surprising the league and playing, like channeling his inner Palomalu, if you will, just playing absolutely crazy, is going to definitely either him or Dre Greenlaw. I could see Dre Greenlaw going for that sack or trying to make an attempt to go for most sacks in the season. Thank you, D-Rock, looking down their noses, correct. But
yeah,
I think that the one mistake that the league let the Broncos make is the fact that they let their defense get better. Okay, and that's exactly what our defense was already good. It was top 5 last year. I could see it being top 1. All right, and that all depends on what we see with the progress that our cornerback that we got in the draft makes. Obviously we want to see Riley Moss come back and bounce back from that injury and just that rust that he showed. Again, I tell you what, if there's any date circled in Riley Moss's calendar, it's that Bengals game.
Week 4.
Week 4. You better believe that Riley Moss
And
is
it's prime
probably
time
not
as
going to
well.
sleep a wink that night before the game. He'll probably be the first one at the stadium.
No, he won't because I will be. I'll be there, the first one there.
Probably going to sleep in his uniform, and he's going to be ready and raring to go. And ladies and gentlemen, T. Higgins versus Riley Moss is a matchup I cannot wait to see. And in case they switch off and it's Riley Moss versus Jamar Chase, hell, I'm ready to see that too. But I think that when you have a guy like PS2, the best defensive player last year, you want to put him against the best of that they have in terms of Jamar Chase. And Surtain did a fantastic job last season of keeping Jamar from being that threat last year. D-Rock also saying the NFC South has gotten better. Tampa Bay, Carolina, and Atlanta, look out.
And he's right. And going back to Penix, I feel that Penix, it's his job now. Cousins is just going to be there. He's going to be that quote unquote that high expensive paid backup, unless they can get a suitor to take on that deal that he signed. But I think Penix is good. That's his job. He has to lose it during the preseason itself, which I don't think he's going to do.
You know what the crazy thing is, and I never noticed this until I saw when I see people streaming Madden and they play the Falcons, it's always Michael Penix. And you have to switch him out because the starter obviously is Kirk Cousins. And Kirk Cousins in Madden 25 anyway has the better stats. But the fact that these players will switch out and rather play with Penix just tells you, and he's left-handed, if I'm not mistaken. So he throws with his left hand, which is kind of weird because I'm not used to seeing a left-handed football player. But again, those three teams are on the lookout. You got to feel sorry for the Saints. I know that they're in cap hell and they got a new coach and they're trying to figure out, but the fact that they lost out, Derek Carr was forced to retire because of injury, and the Saints don't have money to go and shell out to get a Kirk Cousins to come to the Saints. And they probably don't have money to go out and get an Aaron Rodgers who's still just kind of floating around out there. I don't know. Like I honestly don't know what they do. Their quarterbacks that they currently have now. I mean, you guys saw what happened when they went up against a defense like the Broncos. They got shellacked. And this is probably going to be another year where they're going to have to stay in the basement just to kind of, settle contracts. And they're just trying to claw their way out of salary cap hell. And unfortunately, it's going to probably be this year. It's probably going to be another year. And when you're in division with Baker Mayfield, Bryce Young, who's starting to kind of turn it around, and now you got to worry about Michael Penix. Man.
And this is what I love about the NFL is because one year you're bad, one year you're very good. A good example is the Commanders. That you can't say that about baseball. You can't say that about basketball. This is the one true sport that really does it very well, where not one team is dominant for so long unless they do it the right way. We have the Patriots, we have the KC right now, the way that they're doing it. But you are always seeing teams that it's like a rotating thing. So it's always nice to see. And that's what I love about this NFL.
And we're getting close to the end of our regular regulation, folks. And, we're going to go into our favorite part. But before we do, got a couple more questions or comments here, I should say. D-Rock saying Cousins will be the highest paid backup in the league.
Yes, sir.
He definitely will because he's on the Falcons payroll. So either the Falcons are just going to keep trying to shop him around, or they're going to demote Cousins to being the backup. And to me, I think that the Falcons would be in a better position of sending Cousins to play elsewhere and just be in the same situation the Broncos have been last year and this year, where they were paying Russell Wilson a bunch of money to go play somewhere else, than him riding the bench and he's not even injured. He's just there because he's not as good as he was in Minnesota.
So,
which
like I say with this though, like if the only way that that's going to happen is he's going to be like D-Rock said, he's going to be the highest paid backup because they're not going to release him because right now they have Penix and they're going to have Cousins as the backup. The only way that he gets off of this team if another team goes in there and takes a trade where they assume the whole contract that he currently signed, that is 3 more years to go. That's going to be very tough.
right, and that actually brings up. And before I continue my point, ladies and gentlemen, it is the end of regulation, which means that Libre and I are getting ready to go into some overtime. Now, for those of you that are new to this part of the show, ladies and gentlemen, this is the part where Libre and I let our hair down figuratively and talk about anything that's on our minds. It could be football related, and if we can find a way to bring it back to the Broncos, we definitely will, but it is not guaranteed. So we hope that you can stay a little late with us and enjoy this segment. So going back to the point I was going to make before Libre finished, the same thing that happened to Kirk Cousins when he left Minnesota to the Falcons is that I predict, this is a prediction, is going to happen to Sam Darnold when he left Minnesota, because obviously everything that made Kirk Cousins great in Minnesota stayed there. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, I can't think of the head coach's name, but the coaching staff, Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator, all that stuff. That's not coming with Sam Darnold to Seattle. So I feel like Seattle kind of just took a shot in the dark, and they figured that what he did there, he's going to do for Seattle. And Minnesota's pretty good at doing stuff like that, because the same thing happened to the Broncos when they brought Case Keenum over. If you guys remember when he took over for, who was it? Was it Teddy Bridgewater when he got hurt that year? It was 20. When did I win my Super Bowl title? 2017. Sorry. So it was 2017, and and they brought Case Keenum over, and Case Keenum was supposed to be the guy that helped the Broncos take the Broncos as far as Case Keenum did with the Vikings the following year, all the way to the at least the championship game per se, and it didn't happen. It was anything from that. Case Keenum just kind of got walloped all season. And for me, the image that lives rent-free in my head, Libre, that very last game against the Browns, watching Case Keenum just stand there like a deer in the headlights, and that defensive player from the Browns just coming straight at him. Keenum didn't even try to run or dodge. He just stood there and let himself get tackled to end the game. That's how the Broncos season ended. And I was just like, I don't know if I was wearing a hat that day, but I probably wanted to step on it or chew it. But it's bad, or it was bad, I should say. So it's like almost every player that comes out with probably you can make the exception for Teddy Bridgewater, because Bridgewater coming to Denver wasn't all that bad. They didn't really need to do the whole quarterback compensation with him and Drew Lock, but he did have a highlight game against the Cowboys. That season, and I know because I was there.
I was there too.
You were in Texas?
Yep.
No
4 years
way.
ago. Yeah, in 21.
Wow.
I have pictures.
So we were both at the same stadium again?
Yeah.
I was in the standing room only section.
So what I did, Cowboys, turn your ears, plug your ears or whatever. So the crazy story about this is like tickets for that game was ridiculous, like over $300. And some of my friends have already bought tickets, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to wait closer and closer to the date of the game to buy my ticket. So that morning before we left our Airbnb, my friend, she sent 2 tickets to one of our other friends, but then forgot to remove those tickets from her wallet. And because over there, the network was so bad in Arlington that the tickets didn't get through at all. So they weren't transferred over to my buddy. The buddy was having issues getting the tickets because of the network. So she still had 6 tickets on her account. And so I had my phone up ready to go, ready to buy a ticket, which I was going to spend $300 for standing room only. And I was like, you know what? Let me do it. I'm going to buy it. I'll wait for them to get in, and then I'll buy my ticket. And then she was having issues when they tried to scan it. They're like, oh, wait, this ticket's not scanning for whatever reason. So she tried swiping it. Again, the second ticket wouldn't work. And they're like, whoa, what the heck's going on? So I swiped away the app of Ticketmaster, and I said, all right. And then half of us started walking in because a couple of tickets got scanned, and they're trying to figure it out. So I walked with 3 of the friends. So there's 4 of us that walked in. The other 3 were still at the gate where they scanned the tickets, trying to figure it out. 5 minutes will go by or so. The other group starts to come in, and they figure everything out. They see the tickets, whatever. And then one of my buddies goes, hey, E, did you really get in there without paying for a ticket? I go, yes, I did. I go, and the best part about this, here in Dallas, they have standing room only, and nobody's going to come over and ask for a ticket because it's standing room only. Like, nobody's going to want to ask you to see your ticket in the standing room only. It's a first come, first serve. So I was there, and it was pretty awesome that we're there. It was a second level, so it's that main level when you come into the stadium itself. And then by halftime, we're already kicking their butt so bad, we actually ended up moving down into the seats there on the second level, and perfect seats there in the end zone. And I was like, how could you not enjoy this wonderful game, being able to actually sit down now in the second half of the game? And it was perfect, and I didn't pay for it. Thank you, Dallas Cowboys.
Man, for me, I remember that day. Like, I woke up that Sunday and I was having lunch with my family, and I had like my Broncos gear on, like I wear every day. And my aunt was like, she's like, you're a Denver Broncos fan? I said, yeah, been for a fan for a long time. And she's like, they're playing in here in Texas today. I'm like, yeah, I know. I hope to watch the game on your TV if that's okay. And she's like, mijo, why don't you just go to the game? I'm like, isn't Dallas far from here? She's like, no. The stadium isn't in Dallas, it's in Arlington. And she lives in Fort Worth, which is only like 20 minutes away. And I was like, she's like, didn't you see the stadium on your way over here? We took the route that didn't go down the interstate that goes right next to our AT&T Stadium. We went like a whole different way through the GPS. So I was like, and we told her, like, no, we came through this way. She's like, oh, if you'd have went through the other way, it would have took you right across. You'd have seen AT&T Stadium. She's like, you can take an Uber ride, or if you want to wait, one of us can maybe take you. And I'm like, no, I'm like, let me see how much the tickets cost. And I saw the standing room only was $100. So I was like, you know what? I'm on vacation for a week. Let me go out and have some fun. So I bought a ticket. My Uber took forever to get there because I don't know if he was lost, but apparently he said he had to come all the way from Dallas because I don't think they have Ubers in Fort Worth. I don't know. If you've never been to Texas, ladies and gentlemen, there are so many freeways there. Mm-hmm. Like there's a freeway for a freeway, and it's like without a GPS, and if you don't live there, you'll get lost. But I went there. My Uber ride dropped me off like 3-4 blocks away because it was traffic. I'm like, hey man, listen, I'm an Uber driver myself, so I'll just get off here. Appreciate it. And I just started walking. And, I stayed on the side where all the Broncos fans are because I don't know if this was planned or not, but like one side was all Cowboys fans. The other side was all Broncos fans. So I stayed on that side, went into the game, walked up. Like, thank God I was tall because I was like damn near all the way in the back, but I could still see part of the field, a good part of the field. And the Jumbotron was like right there. So that's where I was for like the whole game. It was great. I have like 2 videos on my Twitter. If you go back in my timeline somewhere where I recorded, I forgot what I recorded, but it was pretty cool.
Do you know what was cool about that game as well? Is that stadium holds close to 100,000 fans. And when I tell you that the Dallas, like the Broncos really took over, and we took about 30% of that stadium. When you talk about that, you heard the chants, the incompletes, the let's go Broncos and whatnot. So I was like, that were there. They had talks after that game, even the local media and all that. It's like, how did how did Broncos Country come in here and take over the stadium where you can actually hear them chant? Some of the players were talking about it after the game as well. And that alone right there was just made me so happy during that time. And that's also a time where it's like, it's the Cowboys, but it's also like it's the Broncos taking over Dallas itself. And it was so fun. And I actually just sent you a couple of pictures as well from me being there in Dallas.
I'll send you the videos of because I don't think well we definitely weren't friends at the time.
No.
But I still have the videos of when I recorded from the standing room. But let me tell you what the best part about that was I think this was just before the end of halftime. There was a guy who was literally he was walking with his girlfriend hand in hand, and the guy was just complaining about the Cowboys being terrible. How could they lose to a team like the Broncos? All this stuff. And as he was walking, you know how they have those people that are just standing there and they like take your picture for the stadium or whatever, and then you can buy it. So there was a guy standing there with his camera, and he didn't even say nothing to him as they were walking in front of him. He was like, picture, and the guy just stops and he holds his girlfriend and they smile real quick, take a quick picture, and he keeps on walking and he keeps talking smack about the Cowboys.
That's hilarious.
That was freaking, I'm telling you, man, I wish I would have recorded it, but it happened so fast. Shai has a question for you here, Libre. He says, hey, Libre, why don't you take your mask off?
Because you don't want to see me without my mask, Shai.
That's actually true.
Don has seen it without the mask, and he always asks me to put it on right away.
Yeah, like I've gone through like 3 or 4 cameras, Shai.
So true. No, honestly, Shai, this is my online persona. This is what I like to do. There might be a time where I might have it taken off, but this is something I want to try to do to just get out Bronco Libre, to do more of with here, especially here in the Denver community itself with the Broncos. And this is what I want to present myself as with anything going out there, just so that I can help still build the brand of Bronco Libre.
Yeah, because in case you guys don't notice, like after the show, either Johnny or Bronco Libre will take clips of the show and they'll upload it to either Libre's his TikTok account or his social accounts, or Johnny will upload it to the Orange and Blue and MHRT accounts or what have you. So we're trying to spread the word of this show out to as many fans as we can. As you guys heard us say at the beginning of the show, Broncos World Order, huge shout out to them. They made their presence known last week on both of our shows here and on Viva Broncos. So we are so glad to have them here with us. Going forward, I should say. Paul Schaefer says, my wife's a Chargers fan, and we were sitting in LA sitting on Bronco side. The seats are too close, and she thought people were kicking her seat. Now, I'm glad you brought this up, Paul, because as a big dude, you can call me fat if you want, because I'm pretty sure I am. One of the hardest things I've ever had to deal with is arena seats. There is an arena here in Chicago called, we used to call it the Rosemont Horizon, but now it's called the Allstate Arena, where the seats are so, like, I think they were built for children, because I cannot, as a person, sit on that seat without my knees literally on my chin. Like, they're all the way up to here, and I'm just like hunched over like this. And I remember I went to when Raw was in town back in 2012, and I happened to be all the way up in the nosebleeds, and me and I think it was my sister was with me, and we had to get up every 5 minutes because we were in the same room with a guy who had the bladder the size of a pea. And he would come back, he would sit there for like 5-10 minutes, and then he had to get up to go to the bathroom and then come back and then back. Like, it was so
the worst.
It takes me a lot of strength to wedge my fat ass up out of a chair, stand up, and then sit back down. And like, it is so, I will say Broncos, Mahai, their seats were pretty comfortable. I was not uncomfortable that whole time. I was able to put my feet on the bottom, but just because I have long legs and I feel more comfortable with that. But if I couldn't do that, then I'd be fine. What about you, Libra? Have you ever been to a stadium with uncomfortable seats before?
Yeah, I've been there at Ball Arena, there where the Nuggets and Avs play at. And then also in Chicago when I was at Soldier Field. I feel like Soldier Field is just an older stadium, and at the time when it was built, the people were a lot smaller at that time. So I do feel like it's time for them to finally do their upgrade where they can actually have seats and so forth. But again, I understand why stadiums do it. They want to get as many people as they can inside of there to sit down. But yeah, especially the lower seats there at Ball Arena are pretty compact, where they try to get as many people in there as possible because they want to get a higher dollar value for those tickets.
Since you have season tickets to the Broncos game, is it always the same seat every home game, or is it like same section, or is it just a guaranteed seat?
No, it's the same seat. I've had
okay.
these. This is what now going to be year 15 for me, and I've had these seats for all 15 years, the same exact ones.
So I have a feeling that if the Broncos should ever build a new, more fancier stadium, I don't think so, because that stadium was just built like 99, 2000?
2001, I think, is when it officially opened.
Yeah, so I don't think it's time for a new stadium yet, but whenever the day comes that if they decide to build a new one, I have a feeling that you and all the other season ticket holders are going to want to take those seats, at least your seat anyway, and then you can just have it in your house.
Well, yeah, if they allow me to take it, absolutely, I'll do it. That's what they did with some of the seats from the old Mile High.
Yeah.
Yep. And you can actually, and what's nice about it is I don't know if you were if you went and visited the monument, the Mile High Monument, the mini Mile High. They have seats from that stadium inside of that little mini Mile High, which is awesome. But then I'm always on Facebook Marketplace and all that, and I see some of the stadium chairs pop up every once in a while from people selling them. But they want so much money for them, which are so expensive. And I'm like, yeah, like I'm not that way. But if I can get them and the Broncos are willing to give me my seats that I have, I'll take them in a heartbeat.
Yeah, so that's why I am a little bit kind of nervous about going to Lucas Oil Stadium, because just from the look alone I've seen on TV, I'm like, am I going to be able to comfortably fit in this in that seat when I go in September? But only one way to find out.
So, but talking about the stadium itself, like they're already in talks about the stadium itself. The current lease that the Broncos have with the city and county of Denver ends in 2030. So they've already been in talks about the stadium itself, a new stadium coming up. They've already sent us out like this survey about a dome, no dome, a retractable roof, and all that. The only reason why they're asking all this is to see what they want to do. If they put a dome or some type of retractable roof, they're doing it because they want to attract the Super Bowl. That's the only reason why they would be doing and building a new stadium. But now the good question is the location. I know we've talked about this already, but it comes out to the Broncos, I think, have a lot of leverage right now because they've already gone out to Lone Tree, which is down south of Denver, Douglas County area. So they have already an area of land that they've talked with Douglas County and whatnot to saying, all right, if you guys want to build a stadium, here's a good location. It's going to be able to be with transit. Everything is going to be able to be set up. So if people want to do that, we can set that up for you guys. They talked about somewhere in Aurora, which is going to be east of Denver. Not as far as the DIA, but again, also they've indicated DIA area. So the Broncos have talked to these different cities and different parts about getting the new stadium in there. They're trying to leverage something with the city and county of Denver. So they're going to be making that one of their priorities itself. When they're going to make that decision, it's going to have to happen pretty soon because they have to start building a stadium, and it doesn't take a year. It takes several years for it to make. So they'll be making that decision here within the next 1 to 2 years if the new stadium is going to be done or if they're going to just do and renovate this one right now. But I feel like it's going to move unless they can get and purchase the land. And if they can purchase the land, that's what it's all about. It's because it's all about the ownership of the land, because right now they're leasing the stadium from the city and county of Denver.
I just saw this question. How can you breathe, Libre?
Do you see this hole? Do you see this hole? I breathe just fine. So I go, breathe in, then breathe out. You funny guy, Shy.
I don't know if he was serious or if he was just wondering, like, you hold your breath from the start of the show up until the outro play.
Right?
Oh man, but I think the crazy thing about your mask, Libre, is the amount of people that we see that look almost exactly like your mask. There was a guy at the draft who literally had like a Dallas, like your same mask, but Dallas Cowboy colors and the star. There was a guy at a wrestling show that we go to every month who had like a Rey Mysterio like mask, who kind of looked like yours, but it was all like gold.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of like there are a lot of people that look like you, but they're not you.
So like, and again, like I have this one too, an alternative one that I have. And it's a Rey Mysterio, a take on Rey Mysterio with the eagle itself and then the eyes itself. So I think a lot of the masks, especially with the teams themselves, that whoever other fanatics have it, is going to be a replica of some actual Mexican luchador that's out there, because they're basing it off of that. I actually just saw a mask that I'm going to see if I can get customized, and it came out really good. It's my buddy Bronco Tiz sent me this picture of a Madden cover saying "Die Hard Fan Edition." I'll send it to you here after the show as well. But it looks so perfect, and it's like taking my picture off of Twitter itself. And he used that as an AI creation of it, and it actually came out really cool. And the design of the mask that came about it, I might do that one as my next mask, which I hope I can get it done.
My only question to you, Libre, is: do you take your mask off during the game when the sun is beating down on you and it gets really hot?
No.
So you just sweat in that thing?
Well, see, there's the thing is I have different masks that I use. So during the early part of the season, during August and September, when it's super hot out, I have a thinner mask, so it's real breathable. So it's just like a piece of like nylon or something like that, and it's real breathable. So it's not hot. It's really like if you wet it a little bit, like it cools you down real quick. So it's not a big deal. This one I had custom made, so it's like a semi-pro for luchadores. These are the ones that I wear during the cold games, which is perfect because it actually keeps your head nice and warm. Where I don't need a beanie, I don't need a hoodie or anything like that to covering my head. This does it all for me itself during the cold games. But yeah, I don't wear this one mask, so I have a rotation of masks that I'll use throughout the season.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I still feel stupid for not taking my hat to the Broncos game last year, and I'm sitting there holding the cup like this to keep the sun out of my eyes.
Well, and again, remember, we're a mile high, so we're closer to the sun than any other stadium in the league.
Yeah, and my nephew's just sitting there like, I told you. Should have brought your hat. And I'm like, shut up.
Oh, here it is. So here's that mask that I was talking about. Like it's real thin.
Oh, bro, at first that looked like a piece of calzone, bro.
Hey, that's my duntarans.
Your duntarans?
But yeah, this is the mask that I'll use. Like, and it's like super, super thin.
Oh, yeah, that does look pretty thin. I was kind of upset that the mask that they gave us that day didn't fit me because, one size fits all my ass.
You know what? With that mask as well, the one that they gave us, like that one's even small for me. Like I feel like they more designed those for the kids themselves than anything.
Yeah, like kids, not like because not even my nephew could wear it, and he was 13 at the time. So he's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry." He couldn't even put his glasses over it, so it made it worse. But I mean, to me, there's really nothing wrong with with where the stadium is now. If anything, if I had any complaints, I'd probably say that they should build like a parking garage, because I would much rather pay money to park in a parking garage than to deal with those um well, whoever those
Well,
people were that tried to charge me $85 to park where I
those
want.
are private lots.
Yeah.
That's part of it. There's several private lots that are right by the stadium itself, and because it is a private area, then they can actually charge whatever they want.
Yeah.
But that's why I like going into the actual stadium parking lot itself, and that's where I go when we tailgate, and we're there at least 8 or 9 times a year. We're always in there, but again, we get there early so that we can get cash, because I don't every year I put my name in to get an actual pass, but people that are tailgating don't give up their passes, so they have to give X amount of tickets that can go in and pay cash day of to get a spot, but you have to get there early.
Yeah, I think that's like that for every NFL stadium, because I mean, hell, what was they did a report on it, like every single Sunday morning, every single NFL stadium has people there at like earliest 4 or 5 in the morning, way before the gates even open. Like
That's me.
These are like the real true diehard fans, that are there from dusk until dawn till dusk, or however you say it. And
you have to make a day event of it. And that's one thing is like when my son, when he first started to come to games, he didn't want to go that early and tailgate. But now he's hooked, especially last year, and he's in it. And for this upcoming year, he's more even excited for it. So, I got that little seed in him, and now it grew, and now he's all about it.
Bro, I keep saying the same thing every time I'm in Denver. Like, yeah, we're gonna wake up early and we're gonna head to the stadium and we're gonna do this. And then me and my nephew woke up last year and we're like, "You want to go get some breakfast?" Like, yeah, we got time. So we get time to get breakfast, and we don't hit the freaking. We don't leave. We didn't leave until like 11:30 ish, and it's like,
oh yeah, that's way late.
Yeah, but I mean, we did get to walk around like 2-3 times maybe, because I was trying to find Bree and all those guys, but I couldn't find them. Either I was looking in the wrong areas, or I don't know why. But like, I'm trying to follow because I know Bree sometimes posts up pictures of where she is that day of the game, and I'm trying to like make.
So I think you're talking about Bree Mestis, right?
Yeah.
So
and, the Let's Talk Broncos guys.
So so sometimes what they'll do is they'll go up to the DMVR tailgate, which is up more closer to Federal, which is right behind the Fanatic store, the sports store that's right up there. And that's where they'll go and hang out at. I know that they'll do that a lot and hang out with the DMVR crew.
Yeah, Johnny told me that when him and Isaiah are in town for that, they always go to the DMV bar because they can find a ride to the stadium, and then they don't have to worry about parking and none of that stuff, which is great.
Yeah, you just have to pay for it. They'll take you, bring you back home, back to the bar itself, and you know what? And honestly, like the next time you're here in town, your nephew is more than welcome to go into the DMVR bar as well.
Yeah, that was probably my biggest regret, is not going in there, because I remember we were sitting across the street from it, and I'm like, I was hoping somebody I knew walked out of there, like Zach or Bree or somebody, so I could ask them. But I'm like, I didn't want to go in there and then be like, it's like an actual bar, not like a bar and grill type of thing. So I was like, no, let's just keep driving around, because we still have time to kill before our flight back home.
Oh yeah, but if you happen to go into the DMVR bar, at the actual bar location, they have a whole bunch of stickers that are all on the bottom part of the bar. If you go in there, you'll see a Bronco Libre sticker on there.
Why am I not surprised?
I had to do it.
Oh man, I can't wait to take a picture with that. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for our overtime segment of today's show. Ladies and gentlemen, Libre and I would like to say thanks to everybody here with us in the chat. Shai Vargas, D-Rock, Paul Schaefer, of course. And am I missing anybody? Championship Run. Yeah, he was here for a second, and Broncos fan for life was also here. Thank you guys
Thank
so
you guys,
much.
and then all the people on the community of TikTok as well. Thank you guys.
Yes, sir. TikTok. Thank you so much for being here with us, Miss Bossy saying hi, cousin. I'm guessing. Well, this is your chat, so
It's on
Marky Hawaiian King.
Hawaiian King. Yeah.
There. And if I missed anybody, again, I do apologize. But unfortunately, we're going to have to head on out of here. And just a quick reminder for you folks, please make sure you subscribe, share, comment, and like for us here on the Orange and Blue Network. Your support here on this channel is very, very well appreciated. Again, if there's a comment or a question that we did not get to, please feel free to add it into the comments, and Libre and I will definitely get back to you ASAP. Also, to our sister station, please make sure you subscribe, share, comment, and like on the MHRT network as well. And the same thing goes for you guys. If there's anything we missed, please feel free to reach out and ask us. If you want to talk to us on our socials, they're right there. Our Twitter handles at the bottom. Mine is at a 6'10" Mexican. Bronco Libre is Broncos Libre 5280. For our audio listeners, please make sure 5-star reviews are always well appreciated. You can screenshot and send it to us, and we will give you a personal shout out here on the show. For Dubby, thank you for being our sponsor. If you use the code NRWOB10, you'll get 10% off on when you check out to buy all your favorite Dubby products. Thanks to Dubby for being a continued sponsor of today's show, and thank you to the Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue crew for the 10% off hookup. And as I always like to say, please make sure you continue to support any and all forms of Broncos media. Broncos media. As I stated before, and I say all the time, right now is pretty content is kind of hard to get at this point, so we're all trying to come on this show every single week to keep you guys entertained and bring you the best of our ability and the best of our shows. And of course, before we leave, JC Weaver saying, "What up, players?
What's up? What's up, happening?
JC? Thank you so much for stopping by, even though
Mr. Viva in the house.
Better late than never." I always say.
So one thing, when talking about content and so forth. So what I'm doing for content for this up until kickoff is I am going through, and like I was mentioned earlier in the show, we're 95 days out. And what I'm doing is I went on DenverBroncos.com, and I'm seeing what player jersey number the Broncos have considered the best player out there. And I'm going to be doing that, and I'm going to be basically counting it down all the way until we do kickoff. So today we're 95 days out, and the best player to ever wear number 95, Derek Wolfe. I'm going to be posting that on all my social medias. If you want to look into it to see who's that next best player is going to be, please watch it. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I'm going to be posting it everywhere so that you can be out there. I know that there's some people that are out there that are not aware of it, or who's that player that is the best player to ever wear that jersey number. And then I'm also I'm not doing it in the video itself, but in the description of the video, whatever, I'll put whoever is the current player that's wearing that jersey number right now as well.
Very well said, ladies and gentlemen. Please make sure you follow Bronco Libre on TikTok and all of his socials. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back on Friday for the Spanish version of today's show, which is Viva los Broncos. So please make sure you subscribe, hit that live notification button so you do not miss a single episode of either that show or this show. And just a quick reminder, Viva los Broncos is only in Spanish. So hopefully you have a translator nearby, or Google Translate, or if you have friends that are Spanish speaking, have the Spanish speaking ability, can understand, and are Broncos fans, please help us spread the word. Your support is very much appreciated. But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, he's Bronco Libre. I'm Adan Diaz. This has been Broncos Talk on the Orange and Blue and MHRT Networks. And with that, we say so long, everybody. Good night, great day. And as we like to say around here, go Broncos!
Go Broncos! Let's go! Woo!